Hey, good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning, and I'm going to try to show you how to. I don't know if you can see the moon in the distance behind the house, above those pine trees back there. It's right in there. I'm going to show you in the daytime how you can see the moon up close with your smartphone or an iPad. And this is the SeeStar S50. It's a really inexpensive telescope. I'm going to show how you can image it, how you can get the moon and see images of it on your phone or your smartphone, whether it's an Android or an iPhone, or like I'm going to do on my iPad. So I'm going to show you the process. It's really easy here. Once you get it calibrated, so I level it with these little knobs here. Once it's level, and you have to turn it around in a circle about 8 times so its compass is oriented correctly. But once you've done that, it knows exactly where in the world you are. So when over here on the app, I go to solar system, I go to moon, I hit go to, and on the screen it's going to start to zoom right to the moon, finding moon, and you'll notice the SeeStar is going to start to move. I don't know if you can hear that. So it's going to try to find the moon, and it's really simple. It's going to try to aim at the moon right up there. I don't know if you can see it on my camera, but I'll try to show it to you on the iPad view, which could also be on your phone. See how it's zooming around trying to find it? It's trying to image it in. Finding moon, finding moon. Just give it a, there it is, right there. I don't know if you can see it. The moon is in there right now. It's that simple. It says, is the moon centered? Yes. There it is. Now we have to go to autofocus, and it just announced it's autofocus. And I'm going to click there to the edge of the moon. I'm going to say, please autofocus the moon. I canceled it accidentally. It's going to try to focus it in. So it's like 9:44 in the morning. There's the moon up close and personal. The SeeStar went right to it. You see how fast it did that? You can't see many of these pictures, right? So anyway, it's a Saturday morning, and that's the moon. That's how easy it is to use this telescope to see the moon. Now I'm going to track it so it stays in center. There's going to go right back to the center. It'll track this forever, so you can take picture like that, or I could take a video of it, just like that. So I'm going to try to do this again, and I'll film it all on this device so you can see how it works. Okay, so I'm back now. I'm trying to film this on the iPad so you can see what happens here. So I went back to the center, and I'm going to go to solar system, and I click, see it says moon. It's currently above the horizon, 11 degrees above. Hit go to. It wants me to level it. I've already done that. Get out of that, skip it, and then go to, and it should be right in my target right now.
Okay, I had to come in post. My audio went out as it was doing this, so I'll kind of narrate what happened there. So, if you remember, the SeeStar is now trying to find the moon over towards the pine trees, and what it's doing is that servo motor is adjusting altitude and the directional. You can kind of see the screen changing there a little bit, and it's trying to zoom in on it and find it, and it just takes a little bit of time. So this works with any of the items that are on the app that I showed. This just happens to be the moon. You could do this with anything, the sun, or anything up in the sky at night. During the daytime, it's a lot easier. You can see things a lot easier, but it's very easy at night as well. You just click the go to button. There you see it went right by the moon. Those are those pine trees that were in the distance. It's not focused on those, though. That's why they're blurry. It's focused on the moon to make it look sharp, but you can see the pictures to the left and right. There are some that I snapped earlier. So right now I am fine tuning it, and you see the square, like the square focusing square, and then you hit autofocus and see how it comes into. He took a picture there. That's one of the pictures you see I just took there on the left, and then I'm taking a photograph for a time lapse right there, and you can zoom in. Now daytime, it's not, the clarity is not like it would be at night, but for when the sun's up, that's pretty good. There I told the SeeStar that it was the moon was centered, so it's going to hold center no matter how long I want it, but it's going to start sinking below the horizon here behind those pine trees. So we'll lose it here in just a minute or so. While you have the SeeStar focused, you can zoom around. You see I'm doing a fast zoom to kind of zoom down to the bottom of it. And then if you want to magnify, you see I went to 2 times magnification. Looks like a bird flew by. And then if you zoom in, you can do 4 times as well. In the daytime, you're not going to get a lot of clarity with it, but that's not too bad. I was adjusting the brightness there to see if I could get the craters to pop a little bit more. So it's not nearly as good as in the evening, but you sure can do it in the daytime, especially when the moon's just after full here. So this is a not a waxing moon, excuse me. This is a waning moon after the full moon a few days later. Now I'm going to take a time lapse of it. So that will, just like on your phone, if your iPhone or your Android, you can take a time lapse photo so that if I want to play this back later, as it sets behind or disappears behind those pine trees, it can do it a lot faster. So I think that's what the next few minutes of the video are going to be. So I'll probably cut this off because you don't want to see that. But the main thing I wanted to demonstrate here is while you're doing time lapse or taking a photo or taking a video of it, once you're tracking it, you see those buttons off to the right in the middle of the picture here. That once you've got it zoned in, you see the little compass button, the second one that I think is green there. That means it's tracking it. It's going to follow it all the way to the horizon or until it loses it behind those pine trees because it's the logic inside. It's trying to look for the moon. It knows what it looks like. So if it loses it behind the clouds or these trees, and I think it'll probably lose the tracking of it at that point. But right now it's going to track it. You see it's sinking slowly behind those pine trees. It'll do this with any object that you hit the go to on. So if it's the sun, it does. There goes a bird again. If it's the sun and you're tracking it, you got to make sure you have a solar filter on it. But if you have that on there and you've done the exact same thing, click the go to button for the sun, the SeeStar will move right to it. It'll slew right to the sun. It would be doing the exact same thing right now that you see it doing with the moon. And it's really cool to see the sun as well, so you can look at sunspot activity. And I think I may have put that in another video there. I was demonstrating that you could autofocus on the trees there. So those pine trees that are like 50 feet tall, I focused on those instead of the moon to show that you can change the focus to something landscape as well. But so again, you can do this with any object that's in the SeeStar database, which is, I mentioned earlier, the planets aren't so great. In another video, the telescope, the focal length's not really built to zone in on planets, but it's great for the sun and moon since they're so large, but it's also great for what we call deep sky objects, DSOs. And it does an excellent job with galaxies and star clusters and nebula and things like that. You won't get a great big picture of the Milky Way without doing what we call a mosaic, which the SeeStar now can do, and maybe I'll do a video on that some other time. But it does a really good job, as you can see there with the moon, even in the daytime, the sun in the daytime, and then at night you could do great pictures of the moon as well, and then any of the other objects in its database. If you remember on the front end of the app, it showed, I think I showed it in another video, what are the things in the night sky that would be great to look at tonight, depending on the time of day or time of the evening that you're looking. You can see the suns, and you can just click on them, and SeeStar will go right to it. You can see the moon's disappearing behind the pine trees. So I'm probably going to wrap this up here. You probably had enough of this at this point, but I just wanted to demonstrate how easy you saw how easy it was for this to, in the daytime even, to find the moon and get a pretty good picture of it. Again, this is a great thing to maybe share with kids to get them involved in science. Pretty cheap price point to get the SeeStar, and everybody's got an iPhone or an Android, right? So all you really need is the SeeStar, which is about 450, I think, right now. And but boy, what a cheap entry price to get into something to do what I'm doing right here in this video. Excuse me. It would cost a lot of other equipment that you'd have to have. Excuse me, my asthma is getting here. That you'd have to have in order to take these kind of pictures, especially at night with some of the objects, galaxies and nebulas and star clusters. It would cost you a lot of money to do that. You could do that very cheaply. 30 years ago, it would have been really expensive to do something like I show in some of these videos. But anyway, it's sinking behind the pine tree, so I'm going to wrap this up. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you consider it. I'm not paid by SeeStar or anyone like that, but it's been a great device for the time I've had it so far. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you would, please like and subscribe and share the video so other people can see this and maybe come to appreciate astrophotography and the stars in a whole different way. Thank you.